Trojan fans, welcome to the Peristyle Podcast. On a Monday, we got to talk about USC's 42-27 loss up in Eugene to the Oregon Ducks. The Trojans' college football playoff hopes have been dashed, but there's still a lot to play for. UCLA coming up this weekend and a 9-3 season. We're going to talk about what all that means, what we saw in the game with the coach, Harvey Hyde. You can follow him on all of his social media at Coach Harvey Hyde, or go to his website, harveyhyde.com, for his shows, all of his content. I think you'll really enjoy that. If you have questions or comments for our show, let us know. We got a few emails to get to today. Podcast at uscfootball.com. That's the email address. And I know you guys, Sunday, a bunch of people call in, leaving voicemails for the coach. We love it. We got a few of them today. 424-254-9141 is the number. And if you have Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you're listening in podcast form, hey, leave us a 5-star rating, review on Apple. You can leave comments on the individual shows on Spotify. We love all that, and we love talking to the coach. It's just great. Coach, how you doing today, sir?
You know, I'm doing good. I tell you, it's a Monday, and I look forward to this as far as getting all the responses and reading the media and listening to podcasts and everything about what they thought about Saturday and so on, the fans and all of the above. I have a chance to digest it myself and then think about doing the podcast with you and giving them really an honest answer of what I see, what I saw. Of course, it's our opinion, Ryan. It's your opinion. Everybody else is entitled to their opinion. But before we get into the Oregon game, which was a very crucial game for both teams, not just USC, but for Oregon at the same time. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. And when you're out there, be careful driving no matter where you are. And coming up is the UCLA game, which is always a big game. And I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but it'll be at the Coliseum. And what time's kickoff? Kickoff is at 4:30, right, Ryan?
4:30, yeah, 4:30.
Yeah, right. So, we'll get on to business here. And where do you want to start? But I don't know. You just tell me, where do you want to start?
Well, you mentioned Thanksgiving, Coach, and I definitely want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving before we get all of that. I know you guys can survive it with your family. It's going to be crazy times. It's always good. You eat a lot of food, but you want to get an easy win as well. That's where my bookie has you covered. The lock of the season, it's back, baby. Back, baby. This is the bet every bettor talks about because it doesn't miss. A touchdown is all it takes, a single touchdown. It's going to be the Bears, the Eagles on Black Friday. You guys are all going to be watching. One trip to the end zone, and you double your money. It's the simplest bet you'll ever make and the easiest cash of the season. That's why I love my bookie. You get the sports book, but you also get the casino. Everything else in one spot. No app, no hoops. Just hit the site, and you're in action. You can use our promo code, Peristyle, for the Peristyle Podcast. When you sign up, grab a welcome bonus to get started now. Load up, lock in, and enjoy the feast over at my bookie. So remember, promo code Peristyle for that. Just any touchdown in the Black Friday Bears-Eagles games, and you win. So go check that out. But, Coach, I was up there in Portland for this one, and sort of went the way I expected. My comp going into the game was Notre Dame, the highly ranked team you're facing on the road. It kind of went that way. Now, they didn't run the ball as effectively as Notre Dame did, but had more explosives, I think, in the passing game. But Notre Dame sort of made USC one-dimensional on offense, and then Oregon did the same thing. And I don't think you could just rely on the passing game, and they were great. Tanook Hines, over 100 yards, seeing Jacoby Lane get over 100 yards, couple touchdowns for Mekhi Lemon, even though they really tried to focus on limiting his production yardage-wise. But it was like a one-dimensional team that I saw out there, Coach. But, it was a tough one. I think, I wanted to see a better effort. It was as bad as you could play on special teams. They played on special teams. And when you're going on the road for a big game like that, you need to bring your A game. I didn't think Oregon brought their A game and gave you a chance, if you're USC, to get an upset. And then USC didn't bring anything near the A game either. So it just sort of was like one of those situations. But I wanted to get your thoughts on it too, because I know you saw it and have a lot of thoughts on what's going on there. So what does Coach Harvey Hyde think about overall thoughts on this game?
Well, if you're a USC fan, I'm disappointed, okay? I think they had enough talent, and I think they had the opportunity of winning at Oregon. but they beat themselves. And not only player-wise, but coaching-wise, I think they got out-coached. I think the players made some stupid mistakes, as Oregon did, as far as penalties, unsportsmanlike and those type of things. That can't happen when you're playing a great football team, okay? You got to go up there and you got to realize that you can't make any mistakes. As I said last week, you got to play your best game. You got to bring your game. You can't beat yourself. You got to take advantages of the weekends and what weaknesses of a team. You got to take away what they're trying to do to you and take advantage of it. You can't just continually try to force things and make things happen and do things that aren't really sound as far as for your football team to try to win a game like that at Oregon. Oregon more or less stuck with their game plan, didn't vary from it, executed it in a way where they were able to win the football game. But USC gave them so many different opportunities to take advantage of who they were that I believe personnel-wise they could play just about every position with Oregon. But the coaching part of it and some of the things and mistakes they made was absolutely ridiculous. You just sit back and say, oh, my God, here you are beating yourself. And you mentioned it. I think there's three phases of the game of football. I think we all know there are. There's offense, there's defense, and there's special teams. And I personally think the head coach, and I think all of you may agree with me and may not, depending what you feel, is responsible for all three areas. You're not just an offensive coordinator, huddle around the offense, following and not paying attention to what's happening on defense and making adjustments on defense with your defensive coordinator, and now allowing the same thing to happen over and over and over. And also being a head football coach, always saying we don't need a special teams coach, but then they have the special teams sync it up so bad you lose the football game almost just over special teams. As far as the five mistakes they made on special teams led to touchdowns in most situations. The field goal that was missed, and if you have a special teams coach, you teach the kids the rules. You can't, number 31, I don't want to use his name. You don't run up and jump and go over the line of scrimmage. Those things you talk about every day. You don't short out. That cost them a touchdown, really, in a situation of getting out with no score. And you don't kick the ball out of bounds. I mean, what do you do that and rough the kicker? You don't do those type of things. Or you run down where a guy's going to fair catch, and you harass him and get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. I mean, as well as the kid played in the game, he beat himself. You don't do those type of things, and I call that undisciplined football. Okay. As far as when you play special teams like that, people aren't staying in their lanes. I don't care. So was a spiral bullet punt, which again was not what you want to do against a great returner, but you stay in your lanes and you settle up. You don't try to crush people when they're running a kickoff or a punt back. You don't want to get around them. You settle up and you say, here I am. I'm going to make the tackle. I got to make the tackle. But both players were out of their lanes to the outside. I mean, that's what you call coaching, too, at the same time, and putting people in there that follow what you're supposed to do. I just don't understand those things. So, and then I look at the offensive side of the football, and I looked at what Oregon was doing defensively, okay? And I'm sure a lot of you coaches out there, people that know football, can recognize what they're doing defensively. They're playing man too deep, okay? Now, why are they playing that? Because they have help on both deep receivers, which are Lane and Lemons. And who are they going to take out of the game in the passing game? You got to take those two guys out of the game. If you take them out of the game, you got a chance because the middle of the field's wide open. Nobody even sees that, do they? Because they're playing, they never throw a ball over the middle, okay? They never utilize their tight ends down the seam. And when you see that type of defense, you're going to use your back down the middle. And keep them open to force away the double team so they can't have the safeties playing there wide on your receivers. They never once took advantage of that. Never once used the middle of the field. Their blockers are now their tight ends, and they don't throw the ball hardly any to them, except they did get a touchdown. It was great by a great play by the tight end, busted him into the end zone, and of course, Muhammad finding him, which was great. The other one was dropped, which is understandable. People can drop a pass. It's not a big scene, but you've got to be able to make those plays if you're playing in a championship game like this, which I considered it was. And, you can't do those things. And then laterally on the goal line, why do you take Lemons and run him laterally 2 plays in a row? I know they don't practice this play live. I know they don't. When you put him in motion, come back, give him a ball, a handoff, and he runs laterally towards not the goal line, towards the sideline. And the only way you score in this type of play, but you can't stop and cut up, but you're running too fast, is run for the flag. There was no room for him to run to the flag. So do they run it once? They run it twice, which they have showed me all during the year. They have no other offense or any other design in their offensive package for what I call a breaker offense. When you get on a certain yard line, you're going to run the ball, play action pass out of 2 tight ends, make them cover the entire field plus the middle of the field, not allow them to crash down, not be in a gun type of formation where you have to run 5 yards before you get to the line of scrimmage. I've seen no type of adjustment on that whatsoever. So I just wonder what happens when that happens. Why do you have to run a receiver when you have great running backs, where you have a run-pass option type of play, when you have a great quarterback who can run the ball, you can flood a zone, you can cross the receivers. When you play man, what you do is you run a lot of zones so that the the defensive backs are chasing the receivers. You fake it out and you run them across the field, and they're chasing them all the way across the field. And you're running away from the damn safeties and everything else. You run the other way deep. None of that. Never saw any crossing routes. None of that. And this guy, don't get me wrong, he is a genius because he's been labeled a genius. But I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. But I will tell you, I see these things. I was an offensive coordinator. I was a head football coach. But I immediately looked to see, what are you running defensively? What do you want to stop? And they ran what they wanted to stop. But you never took advantage of other things that they were giving you because they did that.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the goal line and do those other plays and special teams away, we hadn't even got the defense yet, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, time to start rambling. So, buddy, we'll make it a coaching clinic today, okay?
You delivered. I love it. Specifically, the Mekhi Lemon, the runs that he had, if I remember that correctly, it was before the end of the half, and then USC kind of got down there pretty quickly and wanted to run some clock. And I agree. I think we needed to see more Jade Mayava run. One of my keys to the game was he needed to run at least 5 times. He ran 3, and I think they were all kind of together in the third quarter. But you saw the defensive ends crashing down. They really shut down the run game. I mean, they just couldn't run the ball. King Miller was averaging 2 yards a carry and 15 carries for 30 yards. That's just not going to get it done. So they didn't run him. And I thought they could have fake that and run Mayava on those. But you ran Mekhi Lemon twice, and it just didn't work. And then that's when people are talking about, well, you can't score too quickly, but you got to score, and they weren't really getting close. And you had really one shot, and then you had to kick a field goal that they end up missing. That was a rough go there where you could have – another one of those situations where you could have got momentum. But, yeah, I didn't like that sequence either. Now, they threw for 330 yards in the game, and – Oregon had not given up more than, I think, 230 to Indiana. So they had success in the passing game, but specific sequences, that was one that was weird where you had an opportunity to score and you end up getting 0 points out of it. That was really a killer.
Now, you threw out these stats to me that they have 330 yards in the passing game, okay?
Yeah.
Were any of those guys really open? Tell me, they were all double team. They were perfect passes. They had to be perfect passes. He went on the touchdown. They're 2 guys. They're being double teamed the whole time. It's a perfect pass. The guy makes an unbelievable pass. Why didn't somebody ever open? Well, you have to force it in there. And when he forced it in there, he had a couple of interceptions, which happens when you try to throw into everybody.
Yeah.
So, I say in a passing game, can't you occasionally have somebody open? Does it have to be an unbelievable highlight film on every catch? But these are great receivers too, and they have great players on the running backs and so on. But you got to take advantage of the whole field. The football field is so long and so wide, but you've got to be able to take away what they're trying to do to you.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any of that happen over the last several games. Nobody is ever wide open. Now, I'm not going to say never. Maybe the DB will fall down. But as far as being wide open.
No, and I think the way that we saw Notre Dame play USC and we saw Oregon play USC, I think that's one of the things that you can counter with, okay, well, they're going to do that and we're going to do this. And I think running the quarterback where you're, if they're crashing down every time you're going to hand it off, you tuck the ball and run the other way, and they'll stop crashing down. Or like you said, they're playing the two deep safeties, and there's things over the middle where you can. But it seems like they get, and like I said, obviously had a lot of success when you have amazing receivers, and he was really throwing it to spots, and you're just like, okay, there's two guys around Jacoby Lane. Oh, he got the ball anyway, Tanook Hines. Oh, he made a great catch. I get your point because, I think there's opportunities to sort of well, they're doing this to you. You can do this to sort of counter that and make them stop doing that to you. Force them to stop doing that. And USC was just no, we're not going to stop there. We'll just keep making great plays. So, I get your point. It seemed like there was opportunities to do that.
It's like playing chess, okay? You can't stop everything when I have great athletes also. And you've got to be able to be smart enough to see what they're doing, recognize what they're doing, take advice from whatever the press box sees you're doing, and run the plays that make it hard for them to accomplish those things. And I don't see that happening, and so I think it really hurts the kids. I feel sorry for the kids, but they have to make unbelievable catches and unbelievable plays to make it happen. So they're doing a good job, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I've been talking about this for so long. I mean, the screen passes when they put the rush on. How about a draw occasionally? How about taking advantage of other things that you can put into your arsenal? Right now, his offense reminds me of this is what we're going to do. We're not going to change. And there's no real series. We're just going to jam it down it. Whether you want us to do it or not, you can take four guys on that guy. We're still going to throw it to it.
Yeah.
and it just doesn't work that way when their athletes are as good as your athletes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you mentioned special teams, and Ryan Doherty is the special teams coordinator. Now there's more, there wasn't a special teams, full-time assistant coach. Now you can have more than the regular 10 assistants that can coach on the field. So he has been involved in that. I think you mentioned there were so many.
Well, I would replace him this morning, okay?
Yeah, that's.
And myself, I would look in the mirror and say, maybe I should replace myself at the same time because I'm not on top of that, okay? And making changes and getting the special teams together and ripping somebody's ass.
Yeah, someone's
I want
ass.
to see him rip somebody's ass.
Someone's ass needs to be ripped for that. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why, because I'm telling you, if you don't do that, you're not going to get improvement. You just allow it to go on. And it isn't going to go on. We're here to win games and not let our people down. I'm making a hell of a lot of money, and I want you guys to know they ripped my ass on Sunday morning. My dog wants to bite me now and everything else. And I'm telling you right now, we got to clean up things around here.
Yeah.
And that's what I would be saying.
And it's fair because the two biggest games at Notre Dame, you give off a kickoff return for a touchdown, unacceptable. Huge play in the game. You had momentum. You took the lead, and you give it right back 8 seconds later. Don't even give your defense a chance. And then in this game, I mean, the leaping, the punt return for a touchdown. I'm not gonna Ryan Sierri's been great. I'm not gonna you're gonna miss a field goal every once in a while. That was more on the you should have scored. That was the Mekhi Lemon running and stuff. You needed to score a touchdown there. You're inside the 10. He did have a kickoff out of bounds. But he's been, as a walk-on that, you give him credit. But fair catch interference. There was too many mental mistakes. You got to be every I dotted, every T crossed for a game like this. And so
let me ask you: if you're the punter, before the game, do you go up to the coach and say, "What number do I wear today, Coach?" Am I 0? Am I 10? Do I wear my own shoes or do I give my shoes to somebody else? I mean, let the guy concentrate on what he is. I mean, let him be a punter.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many changes in the special teams and special plays and gadget plays, which work down at the goal line. Thank goodness. If that gadget play had to work, you don't think? What do you think I'd be saying today?
Yeah.
Huh?
Why are you doing that?
Fortunately, fortunately it worked, right?
And Mekhi Lemon threw a good ball into a covered. Tanokai was covered. Usually, if you have like a back or a receiver throwing the ball, you want him to be wide open.
Wide open. There ain't nobody open.
So you could push past it or whatever.
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I'm just sitting here today saying I feel sorry for all the fans. Okay, all the enthusiasm. What a big game it was, and to see it not them beat you, but to see you beat yourself.
Yeah.
At the same time. Now that's a combination of a lot of things. And all right, we can get to the defense.
Yeah, we can start the defense. We could start maybe you're getting a little ruffly. I don't know if you're. Watch your mic. Your microphone's on your shirt. Yeah, move it away.
What's that? How's it?
Yeah, I think that's better. Okay. You might have froze there, Coach. But
all right, let's go.
Okay. Kennedy Urlacher had to start. So both Bishop Fitzgerald and Kamari Ramsey were out for this one, but I thought Urlacher played pretty well. He had the defensive play of the game where he tipped a pass to himself and then end up intercepting it. That was a huge stop where stops were, tough to come by. So I thought he played pretty well. Desmond Stevens ended up having 17 tackles. He was asked to do a lot. USC didn't allow as many explosive running plays that they did. They had allowed 11 runs of over 10 yards against Notre Dame. It was only 4 against Oregon, but they had 3 of them that were 9-yarders and 179 rushing yards, I believe. They gave up more explosive plays in the passing game. It seemed like USC was trying to stop the run. It didn't, it wasn't super effective, 4.4 yards per carry, but I don't know. What did you make of the defensive play overall?
Well, we didn't mention the rushing yardage for USC. I'd be absolutely embarrassed to rush at USC with the great running backs, the great offenses they've had there, and the tradition of Heisman Trophy winners to get 52 yards rushing. Everybody's turning over in their grave, okay? And that just shouldn't happen, and that's a stat you better get cleared up, and I won't talk about that anymore because it just doesn't work. On the defensive side of the football, all spring I kept hearing we're bigger, we're stronger, our linebackers are playing great, they're really getting after it, Gentry's really going to be an All-American, all of these all outlook teams, whatever the heck comes out of the sports information offense about this guy's an All-American and this guy's an All-American, this one's going to be an All-American. Hell, let them play the game first, okay? Very disappointed with the defense's performance. I keep thinking it's going to get better and better, but it isn't because they are still trying to line up in the right position, and this is what? How many games? 10 games? 11 games, and they still can't get them lined up properly as far as in their coverages, or they're overshifted the wrong way. And, of course, Oregon's taking advantage of that by different formations and running to the weak part of the defense. I don't know. You throw out that Stevens made 17 tackles. I don't know who's doing the stats. They might be in a big stack of some type, but individually I didn't see that, and I didn't see him on the line of scrimmage. Gentry, as far as coming out of the sports information office, a first-round draft choice, and I don't know the coaches saying that. I think he's a great kid and so on, but I don't see him being physical whatsoever. He's not a physical football player. He's not built to be a physical football player. Urlacher is built to be a physical type of football player. If I had to trade right now the linebacker from Oregon for Gentry, it'd be an automatic trade, and I'd give whatever else they wanted. They even give their defense credit when they make big plays by shoving it down SC's throat by putting the defensive players on the goal line and letting their linebacker score a touchdown. That's because you did such a great thing on the defensive side of the football. Now, when do they have time to practice that? They practice it because they use it as an incentive to shove it down your throat and let those defensive players know that they did something really good. As far as the secondary, I agree with you 100%. You can't lose Ramsey, Fitzgerald, and those guys and play as well because they make all the tackles. They make most of the tackles in the secondary after there's plus yardage, second level tackles. So it's tough to lose those guys. But it happens in football. That happens. But when you have great recruiting classes in your USC and they're all 4 stars or 5 stars, wouldn't you think these guys could be able to come off the bench and play? Everybody else has them. Everybody else has injuries. And again, I look at it that there's no excuses. They have not gotten better. They are the same defense they've always been. Their linebackers make tackles after this on the second level. They don't get to their gaps. A couple of them really run hard and play hard, but one of them doesn't play hard at all. I think you're getting some inside hard play by guys who give a damn. I watch them. They play hard. But again, you got to play. They say their front seven was going to be awesome. Their front seven is not awesome like it's supposed to be. So I think the defense is way overrated. And if I was the head football coach at USC, I'd take a real good look at the defense if I knew what they were doing and ask what they're doing and find out more about the defense at the same time. And I'm not advocating people to get fired or this and that. But I want to know, what are you doing? Why can't we stop people? We're supposed to be bigger and better and stronger and all of these things we're supposed to do. And the weight room is unbelievable. We're doing this in the weight room and that in the weight room. And we got this transfer in. And they keep talking about every minute next year's class going to be the number 1 class in the country. Well, they better be. They got Ohio State. They got Penn State. They got Washington. They got Oregon. They got Notre Dame. They got Indiana. I'm going to tell you, they better be a pretty good class.
Yeah, no, the schedule next year is certainly daunting, but we're still in 2025, and USC is 8-3. I mean, certainly a better record than what we saw the last couple of years, and
you're right.
A real opportunity to beat a struggling UCLA team. If you played UCLA like a month ago, maybe, but they've lost 4 in a row, and they don't look like they know what side of the, they don't know what's going on right now. So
let me ask you, Ryan. I'm interrupting you. I know it.
No, go ahead.
But you do this stuff all week. I only get to talk to you once a week.
All right.
Let me ask you, Clay Helton. What do you think they'd have done to him right now with the same record, making $10 million a year?
No, this is not good enough.
Yeah. Then why do people shouldn't say, hey, 9-3 is good enough or 8-4 is good enough? It isn't. It isn't. It isn't. But people keep making mistakes. Saying, it should be next year we get the number 1 class. We're doing this. We're doing that. Hey, they're going to have a good bowl game. They're probably going to go to the San Antonio Bowl, and I think they're going to probably play BYU. I'd look at that if they don't make the playoffs. Okay, if they go, that'd be a hell of a game. I think it'd be a hell of a game. Okay, but it's 2 pretty good teams with good records, so we'll see what happens there. But that's I'm just saying that's not good enough. At Ohio State, you're fired.
Yeah.
At Michigan, you're fired. At Alabama, you're fired. Now, don't you look at USC as the same type of program as those schools? Why is it not good enough for them, but it's good enough for USC? Explain that to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's good enough.
Tell me, you're not going to get a field pass anymore. I know after this podcast.
No, it's fine.
You'll be set up. I'm going to tell you that right now, but I'm just why? I mean, let's speak up. And I know I'm going to get a lot of people out there. Give them a chance, coach. You're bitter. You're this. You're that. The hell I am. I'm just telling you the facts.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. And I think when you're going to pay the kind of money that USC paid to bring in a Lincoln Riley, that you need to make at least the college football playoff once in the first 4 years. Now, I think next year,
Well, how
even
about
with
winning the conference? How about winning the conference?
yeah, that would be
Did you forget the Cotton Bowl in Tulane? Was that something you're pretty happy about?
yeah, no, that was a very disappointing result at the end of the
Disappointing.
season.
I could have scored on them.
Yeah. So I think at this point it's like a playoff or bust next year. And yeah, you can't go. You get a 10-year contract if you're 5 years in and you haven't even made the playoffs. And, okay, you've been close. You win this game, you're in. You win that game, you're in. Whatever. Like you had 2 bad seasons in the middle of that, and now with the personnel department, and everything. Yeah, you're right. Like this is not good enough. This is not what they talked about in the beginning of the season or beginning of every season with championships and all that. This is certainly not. It's not good enough to be where USC needs to be.
No, you're right. And I don't think a lot of it, they're hammering UCLA, as far as their administration. That's a problem. It's the way that Jarman runs it and this and that. But what about USC's administration? What type of hire?
We lost you for a sec, Coach. You there?
Huh? Yeah, I'm here, buddy.
So what?
I mean,
what did you say about the administration?
I think they're hammering UCLA and their administration for their situation right now. Well, why aren't they hammering USC's administration for the situation they're in right now? They're no different. Poor hiring, poor contract negotiations, poor everything. I mean, how can they do that? I mean, I don't know, guys. I mean, I'm just saying, you only pay for what you get, and sometimes you buy a lemon.
Yeah, no, and yes, the current administration, led by Jen Cohen, did not hire Lincoln Riley.
No.
Yeah, so there was, and the problem has been, though, Coach, that there's been bad administration decisions going back decades, and whether it was Pat Hayden making Clay Helton the permanent head coach right before he lost 5 of the next 6 games, whether it Lynn Swann giving him a fully guaranteed extension and should have been fired, within, a couple of months of when that happened, to, I give USC credit for making a splash hire like Lincoln Riley because USC hadn't hired a proven winning college head coach who, Lincoln Riley had been to the playoffs a bunch of times. He's been a successful head coach. USC hadn't done that since Howard Jones 100 years prior. So like they'd hire assistants, like people that worked out great, but they weren't proven college head coaches. Pete Carroll had never done that. He wasn't a head coach in college. Like John Robinson was an assistant. Like, even McKay, they were assistants and they worked out great. But as far as their resume, when USC hired them, Lincoln Riley's had the best resume in the last 100 years. So they haven't done that. And then the problem was, though, they pretty much sold everything to try and hire him. And the contract, from everything I've understood, is very, very friendly towards the coach and not friendly at all towards USC. So when, you lose, that AD gets fired and then you move on, and Jen Cohen is now saddled with this contract that even if she doesn't like him and like to go another direction, it makes things really difficult. So it's definitely, a series of bad decisions over the years. I like the way they're making decisions now in the athletic department, and it'll be interesting to see the next USC head coach, if it's this administration that hires, what the contracts are going to be like, because the whole sport's changed so much, Coach. You're seeing, buyouts going absolutely insane. But USC definitely has made a bunch of bad decisions, and looking at it now, you're not getting what you're paying for going out and get the hire. I get when you make it, because USC hadn't tried to make a home run hire like that before, but it's not been working out as far as what USC is getting for their bang for your buck has not been great. And it could turn around. If he wins a couple championships over the next few years, that's right. Then it was worth the contract. You got to get there, though, and they're not there yet.
Yep, I agree with you. They're not there yet. And we hope they get there for all the people out there that support USC football. So loyalty. At least I see they're trying to bring back the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
The Hall of Fame. They haven't done that for 8 years. That's something else they eliminated.
Yeah.
Let's go through the things they eliminated. And how about the booster groups that you used to speak at and all of those?
Yeah.
All over well, they might bring those back. Well, isn't that amazing that they had to destroy them all the changes in what their administration thought they were going to take control, and they knew what was better than anything else, the closed practices, the this, the that, all these changes they've done, it's backfired, okay?
Yeah.
They've all backfired on them, and now they're talking about let's bring them back. Let's bring them back. Well, take the consequences and take all the criticism I'm giving you because you made stupid mistakes and stupid determinations on things that were USC tradition, okay?
Yeah.
So just bite the bullet, buddy.
The Hall of Fame thing is weird. I don't remember if that was under Hayden or Swan, but it was, yeah, I was a voter, or I am still a voter, for the USC Hall of Fame. And I remember I did one or two ballots, and then I didn't hear from them again. And I was wondering, like, oh, did they like not like my votes or whatever? I think the last vote I had was like Pete Carroll going into the USC Hall of Fame, and so he was like the number one, like that was the big one on the ballot, that session that I voted on, and then I didn't hear back. And then it's funny, I talked to like people in the current athletic department who brought the Hall of Fame back, and they're like, yeah, they just sort of let it go.
I don't just sort of let it go like everything
not
else.
Them, yeah, like whoever.
You cut your grass every week, or you wait till the city writes you a letter saying you haven't cut your lawn lately.
Because I asked them, like, hey, what's going on? I asked like a year ago, and they were like, yeah, we're aware. We're like working to bring it back. So like someone in Jen Cohen's, administration was like, they told me they were aware, and they're like trying to bring it back. But I think it was during Pat Hayden's tenure. It was like 8 years ago. Like, just sort of let it go. And I was like, okay, but now that's a good thing. I'm glad they're bringing it back. But yeah, just one of those things that's like, why did that go away? And so now there's new people in power trying to like fix some of the bad decisions from the past. But yes, I vote on that. So I was asking, I was like, where did this go? And they were like, no, you haven't missed any votes. They just haven't had any because they just stopped doing it. I'm like, that seems really smart,
Yeah. You remember when they used to have swim with mine, and they used to have the big barbecue out there and everything, and the players would swim in the pool.
Yeah.
And remember when they go out and they'd have a scrimmage? Remember how great that was, fans and everything? What happened to that?
I don't know what happened to that. I have to look
same old story. Got lost in the archives.
Yeah, I think Steve Lopes was involved with that, and then
Ron Orr.
Ron Orr. Okay, Ron Orr. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know, but I think they still do something, but it's just not.
Oh, they still do it,
but it's not on campus anymore.
It's not involved in football. No, they can't. You can't do anything that helps football or works with football or the fans but you might grab a secret here or there that, you might turn over to somebody and, it'd be a terrible thing. I'm just a terrible thing to see that just really snapped the ball the same way everybody else does.
All right. Well,
I'm not trying to be a smart ass.
No, you're not at all, Coach.
I'm just telling you, it's got to a point from we used to have a lot of interest and do a lot of things and feel a part of the program with all these different activities we're talking about.
Yeah.
To nothing. Nothing.
And I think that hurts. It definitely hurts the sport. And you can't be all secretive about everything. Like you gotta get the fans involved. I agree with you 100% on that, Coach.
Great, buddy.
Let's take a quick break.
Took me 15 years to get you to agree with me.
No, I agree with you a lot. Not all the time, but a lot. All right, let's take a break, and we'll be back in a minute. All righty, we're back here on the Peristyle Podcast. I'm Ryan Abraham, and I'm joined by the coach, Harvey Hyde. We got 3 voicemails to get to, Coach. Let's go.
Well, one thing real quick I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Did anybody ask at the press conference why he went for 2 points when he went for 2 points?
No, but we've heard before about that too. So if you remember the Maryland game last year, and it's like an analytical thing where if you're coming back, you're down 14, you score a touchdown, they run numbers and you basically have 2 opportunities to go for 2. So you go for 2, and if you make it the first time, then if you score again, you win the game. And if you don't, then you have to go for 2 and make it the second time. Um,
But wouldn't that be the same thing that if you made the extra point the first time, you can still decide whether you want to tie or go for two for the win, depending where you are in the game, what the situations are, and so on?
well, it gives you an opportunity to go for it, and if you get it, now you're only down 6, and so
Oh,
it's like um, you get to double down on 11 against a 6 in blackjack, I think.
okay.
So there's an analytics thing. I don't have an issue with what he did there. He did it earlier in the year. I think it was the Illinois game, and it actually worked. And then USC ended up taking the lead after they scored the second touchdown. But then Illinois came down and kicked a field goal and took the lead back. But that's a fairly new thing. That's we've seen it in football where people are down 14, and that's if you run the numbers, like statistically, you have a better chance of winning the game. But again, it's analytics. You can't just apply it blindly to anything. But I think that's the reason behind it, Coach.
Okay. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah. So I don't have an issue with it. I haven't looked at all the the numbers, like the calculus behind what you're doing, but it's definitely like a fairly common practice. And we saw Maryland do it, and they beat USC. You don't be just results driven, but I think there's like some numbers behind it. Like, it gives you two opportunities. As long as but I think if your 2-point plays stink and if you're only converting like 28% of the time, it probably doesn't make sense. But if you're converting close to 50%, then it should be. I think that works better. All right. Here's the first voicemail.
All I want for Christmas is some linebacker help. I think the defense is going to be real good next year. I love the defensive line, the young guys. Jaden Walker is going to be a monster, and Kennedy Urlacher is the man. Plus, I think King Miller was running on dead legs the last few games. His legs seem tired and slow. What say you guys? Fight on. This is Al from Georgia.
Al, I agree with you. I think that Urlacher is going to be a hell of a player. I just wonder why they took so long to discover him. They got people there that can play. You just got to discover them and find out who wants to hit somebody. And he likes to hurt people. I like that. And same with the other kid you just mentioned. He's a freshman, I think, too. So he's going to be a hell of a player. I agree. And if it was me, I'd be playing those kids all the time because they can't do any worse than what other than you're giving them experience. That's your future right there. And as far as Miller's legs, he did look tired. He didn't run with the same energy level or whatever. Yet he didn't have the holes to run into. But I agree. I think he was tired, but he didn't run with the same efficiency or the same, what do you want to say, electricity that he normally has. I know he needs to work on his blocking, though.
Yeah, and I felt like they were getting to him in the backfield. He's good at getting to the line and finding a crease and getting 3 yards or something before really anything happens, and then trying to make something from happening there. But he was getting hit, I think, in the backfield a lot, so it was like scrambling for 2 yards to get after you get hit, as opposed to finding a crease for 3 and then maybe pushing it to 6. Like this was more like you're getting hit for nothing and then squeeze out 2. It was a tougher one for him. But I think just the way the defense was playing. Let's go to this voicemail.
Hey Ryan, Coach Hyde, how are you? So this week's contest is going to be a battle of wills. Who could run the ball and who could stop the run and thus make the other team into a one-dimensional offense. So it was pretty clear. USC, 28 carries, 52 yards, 1.9 average, versus Oregon, the winner in this battle of 41 carries, 179 yards, 4.4 a carry. It comes down to mindset, so much of this. Dan Lanning, guy's pretty much a badass. He comes at it with an SEC defensive coordinator background and mentality, prepares his team to be tough, tough and focused. On USC sideline, I can only see with the TV shows. I don't know if it was just a couple brief seconds of this or what happened multiple times throughout the game, but they kept showing the guys with the jumping jacks, the dancing, the jumping jacks. I didn't see the the hype guys with the towels. I don't know if that's stopped or maybe it just didn't show it on TV. But I remember like the '85 Bears, the Steel Curtain, Purple People Eaters, those great defenses and those great teams and tough teams. They weren't jumping up and doing calisthenics, and dancing on the sidelines. And, Coach Hyde, I know we've talked about this in the past, but I don't know if I'm just an old curmudgeon, and we're a couple old curmudgeons ourselves, but it seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but the way you prepare and the way you carry yourself on the sideline must have some carryover the mindset which you carry over onto the field and the general toughness you play with. And until that's all drained away from the USC program, I don't know how we compete against the Big Ten, against these tougher teams. So, anyway, have a great Thanksgiving, Ryan, Coach Hyde, and take care.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Have a great Thanksgiving too. Well, I've talked about that for years. It's a waste of energy, and clean towels. You should really save those towels to shower with or do something else for. They weren't made to become pom poms and be that part of the team. And if I'm going to dress somebody for a game, I'm not going to dress them to be a cheerleader. They've got cheerleaders to do that. I'm going to dress them because they're football players, okay? And I don't know who's starting that, whether it's the strength coach or some of the guys that are on the sideline and so on, but that to me is a distraction. But the kids' heads aren't into the game of knowing what's going on in the field as far as the play, the game, down distance situation, all the things that are necessary to do it. It's the same thing with the discipline portion of when a kid comes off the field at USC and he's done a stupid thing like a penalty or so on, I don't see anybody chewing his ass.
Yeah.
I mean, chewing his ass. Did you see Dan Lanning chew that guy's ass when he had
I did.
The guy started bleeding out of his ears, okay? I saw him. He got the message, okay? Because that's the type of program they have. It's you just hurt the whole team, you idiot. You didn't just hurt yourself to be a show-off. You sit your ass down on the bench. And that's what you have to do. What people sometimes don't understand. And you have to sometimes talk their language. And I tell all those guys that towels are for wiping off sweat and showering in, okay? We have pom-pom girls here. We have people here. Put your damn helmet on. Sandwich your positions. Don't just walk up and down the goddamn sideline. Sandwich your groups with the receivers together, the O-line together, the defensive line together, so when they come off the field, you can hear what they're talking about and support your group. If they want to put a sandbox out there or something too, they could do that and they can play in the sandbox like a bunch of kids. But that's I don't even want to call it Pop Warner. It's belittling for us old timers like this gentleman that just called. And Ryan, I don't know how you feel about it, but it doesn't really pass on the message that you're ready for combat, okay?
Yeah.
I want to make sure you're strapped and ready to take the beaches, okay? You're not going to sit in the background and say, let's see how he does first.
All right. Well, if you want some positivity, this is not the voicemail for you, I'm assuming. I haven't listened to it yet, but it's our buddy Don. So let's play it.
Okay.
Hello, Coach Hyde.
Oh.
Ryan. Don Autry here. Coach Hyde, I was on this podcast a while ago. Do you remember? We have a bit of history. I said before the USC-Oregon game that in order for USC to win, they'd have to shut down Oregon's run game. Didn't happen. They would have to be successful in their run game. Didn't happen. They'd have to play a penalty-free game. Didn't happen. The specialty team would have to play a sound game. Didn't happen. All these didn't happen caused them to lose the game. A championship team has all these skills. USC has to develop all these skills before they become a successful championship team. I think USC is about a year or two away from being that championship football team.
Don Autry, I remember you as a tremendous athlete, okay? and you understand the game of football. You played the game of football. You won championships with the game of football. You basically summarized what we talked about this entire podcast. You can't beat yourself, and that's the way we started this podcast today. You can't beat yourself, and USC beat themselves. And the only thing you neglected is you didn't say you got to take what they give you, and you got to do it well. And they didn't do that either, offensively or defensively. And it's a shame that we have to have a podcast like this today. But as I said earlier, people expect more. If there are the USC Trojan football program that people say they are and what they expect from them, then they've got to be better prepared. And a better preparation means in all three areas. And that's something they haven't been. And that's something that unless they get that straightened away, they'll never be.
All right. That was not the wrong Don. Different Don. Don Autry.
Oh, different?
Yeah, so Don in Chicago is the one. No, you're right. That Don, like you have a history with Don as a football player.
Autry. Yeah.
But
this a different one?
No, but the one when I saw the voicemail, I thought it was Don in Chicago who does not.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, he's usually very upset with things.
All right. Good.
Yeah,
okay. I understand.
But it wasn't that. It was a different Don. But we love to hear from Don Autry too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have that history there. West Texas Mike wrote us an email. Okay. I've determined that Lincoln Riley won't get it done at USC. And that was during a win, that slap fight back at Nebraska. The focus and intensity during that game told me he just isn't a leader of men. However, since he's not going anywhere, is there a chance someone such as Tremaine Carroll can be the leader of men on the sideline during practices and games, that he can get them to not celebrate first downs by spinning the football, that he can focus them to not chase down balls on the other team's sidelines, and maybe lay into players who extend drives by running and leaping to block kicks, someone who can be a present-day Ed Orgeron or Marv Goo, or is it just not possible if that discipline isn't coming from the head coach or defensive coordinator? West Texas Mike.
Well, if you look at the personalities of the defensive coordinator and the personality of the head football coach, they don't have it in it. It's not them. And I coach for a very famous coach who knew when it was time for me to talk to the team. And he would walk out of the locker room knowing it was my turn to take over. And I would give him the talk before we took the field, okay? Because he knew that wasn't my forte. But this crazy son of a gun has a way of wanting them to tear the door down when they come out of the locker room, okay? So that's part of coaching, knowing what your personality is and knowing what you can do well and you can't do well. And if you're not one that does that, then you have someone do it for you, like Marv Goo. Do you remember Marv Goo?
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah. There's guys that do that know how to headbutt you, okay, on the way out the door without a helmet on, and understand you better be ready to play. So you've got to be able to have that type of motivator on your staff, no matter who that is. And I don't think either on the defensive side or the offensive side you have that as far as the leader of the offense or defense. They're more, what do you want to say, quiet personalities. They're not the outgoing type of personality like a crazy coach that might be able to do that. You know what I mean? And you've got to be able, that's all part of a game plan.
Yeah, like Dan Lanning's psycho. Like he's going to be, You've
got to have that. You've got to have the person. The kids are looking forward to that. Hey, the kids want that. I used to bring the drums into my locker room. The drums from the band, I'd take about 6 to, they come in and they start that pounding. And I'm going to tell you what, you didn't have to open the door. They were going through the door because this is what got them ready to go. You've got to do things that they communicate with, okay? And you've got to have a way of motivating your team that, hey, this is what we got to do and the way to get it done. So I think it's very important to do that. And I don't know where Lincoln got this Lane Kiffin motion the last couple of games before last week. But he gives a big round like Lane Kiffin does and whoo, like Lane Kiffin does when something good happens. Now, I know you've noticed that, okay? Don't tell me you haven't. Okay. I don't know where that came from, okay? I have no idea, but all of a sudden it surfaced, okay? So those are little things that I'd call fake. That's not him. That's not his personality. So don't try to be somebody else. Be yourself, and people respect you for that.
Yeah. All right, we got one last one. Text message from Sir Eric of Troy. Said question for Coach Hyde. He says, Coach, I'm disappointed we lost Oregon like everyone else, but I'm actually pissed about something when our wide receiver got the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for spinning the ball in the Oregon DB's face. Why didn't Lincoln Riley have a problem with that? You saw when the Oregon player did the same thing that his head coach jumped totally down his throat, but Lincoln Riley seems to be too mild-mannered and is trying too hard to be a player's coach. Personally, it gets on my nerves when a player makes a simple play that he's supposed to make and then wants to showboat because he broke up a pass or got a first down. Hell, look at the scoreboard, sir. You're still down by 2 scores, but you want to celebrate. That shows me individualism as opposed to a team mentality, and that is never going to win championships. What say you, Coach Hyde, your buddy, Sir Eric of Troy? So similar to what we were hearing before.
Eric, you've said it, buddy. You said it all in a nutshell. That's it. You're a team, you know. I used to say we wore a T-shirt, okay? You're hearing a lot about my stuff, but we wore a T-shirt that said team in 4-inch letters under our jerseys game day. And below it, in about a 1/2 inch letter, it said me. Team me.
Yeah.
15 passes or I catch 0 passes. It's team me. And when you start that showing off stuff, I don't buy it. You remember Icky Woods played for me?
Yeah.
And he started to do that little shuffle crap with me.
The Icky shuffle.
The Icky shuffle. I told him, buddy, you do that once in the game and get us 15 yards, you won't have to do it again because you won't be playing. Practice it, but don't do it.
So was it illegal in college? Like
yeah. Oh, that celebration rule.
Okay,
Couldn't have the celebration.
But then in the NFL, he could do it.
Yeah. They brought it back. He started all this crap that's going on now. Remember?
Yeah, like
all
he
the
was
things that are swimming in, doing all these things. He started that.
Well, yeah, he had a choreographed dance, like the Icky Shuffle. Like he had his own dance.
He was doing commercials with it. And all that stuff. Yeah.
Now there's a lot. There's some really funny ones, where
they're
like pretending
crazy.
to resuscitate somebody in the, or throwing the football and it's like a bomb and everyone falls over. Like there's so many good ones. Amon-Ra St. Brown's amazing. Former USC wide receiver. Like the one he did where he did like a headstand where he's just on his helmet, like no arms, and then there's a commercial like they made a cake. Someone like made a cake of Amon-Ra St. Brown like standing on his head. There's some funny ones.
No, they spend a lot of time practicing that too. They really do.
They work on it.
They work on that stuff. That stuff is big time for them.
Yeah, I like that stuff. I don't have an issue. The only thing is, make sure you bring the ball into the end zone. Don't drop it. That's the one where it's just such a killer. You're like dropping it at the one. Like,
I gotta laugh at some of these things. I swear, when they put them, then they start to fall all at a time, the same thing in a row.
Yeah, and the defender ones are good too because they have like those cameras in the end zone. So like if there's a interception in the middle of the field or something, all the players like run and then they pose for the camera. Like they're all like it's pretty like some of that stuff is cool because obviously they're making millions of dollars, but there's some really just there's a lot of good energy there. You work so hard and you make a big play, and I like seeing that stuff.
That used to be a penalty in the NFL, but they allow it now. But it's a marketable thing that people look forward to. It's like we're talking about it now.
Yeah,
it's a thing they allow them to do, and they look forward to it. You see them ever penalize them for anything like that?
No, I mean,
never.
Yeah,
but they'll penalize them on the field if they shove somebody or do something.
Yeah, I think there's certain things you can't do, but I think for the most part you're allowed to celebrate. It's fun to see like the viral videos. The one that came out of the Sunday night game with the Cowboys come back. They were down 21-0 and come back 24-21. And was it the kickoff or kickoff return or a punt return? I forget what. I think it was a punt return. And they show the gunner guy get like knocked down 3 times by the Philadelphia player, and he keeps running. He's like a rookie guy, and eventually gets down the field. And you're looking at it like, okay, you're out of the play. Like no, he ends up forcing the fumble and then the long snapper jumps on it. It's like a huge play. And yeah, that's a great one. You're like, you want to make a team, like get your ass kicked at the line as you're being the gunner, knocked down twice, and just keep running, and then make the play and force the fumble. So stuff like that I like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Just energy.
Well, buddy, it's been a very informative morning with you. And I appreciate the opportunity of getting together with you and all of our listeners out there. Thank you for being a part of our show and podcast. We appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving again. And you can follow me at Coach Harvey Hyde, because I do other different things that you might want to listen to. And Ryan, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Coach, and your lovely wife and everybody. Enjoy the island over there. And I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. That's the Coach. I'm Ryan, and we really appreciate you coming in and watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk to you next time.